Elvis, let's start off with Adutwum. Yesterday we had an opportunity to touch on the reforms the party is making. So let's start off with the candidate, Dr. Adutwum, who has put himself out there officially to contest. He served as Deputy Education Minister, subsequently a substantial minister, widely rumored to have been preferred for vice presidential candidate in the past election. That did not happen. But how do you see him as a person, and of course against the three that we are hearing are putting themselves up for election?
I think against the three, he's the one with the least chance.
With the least?
Yeah. In the
How
sense
so?
that this is an internal political election. And in terms of internal politics, there are dynamics that you have to weigh yourself against in order to establish that you have a certain chance. Dr. Adutwum, we all know, had not been in Ghana for long. He came in and won a parliamentary seat and served also in government.
Yeah.
To say you want to be presidential candidate for a political party, you first of all have to look at one, in your members of parliament, what is the support, what percentage of MPs are going to back your candidacy? In the sense that these MPs are with the grassroots down there. You have to weigh yourself and ask, if you say NPP, Dr. Adutwum, at the various local levels, how many people at the various local levels can say they have had a direct interaction with him and are people who will say they will want him to become their leader? Because people who are going to vote are going to be people who from the local level all the way to the top. And the majority who are going to vote are those at the local level, at the lowest level, those they call the delegates. So the question is, if you weigh Dr. Adutwum against the fact that if you go to all NPP polling stations across the country, at the local level, how many people has he had that direct interaction with? Has he had that impact on for them to say within the party? When we are talking about people who hold the party dear, we talk about people who there are issues even at various local level, comes up to say he wants to help to address those problems at those local levels. I have not read or seen Dr. Adutwum be involved in some of these issues. So if I weigh him looking at the kind of considerations people will look at when they want to elect a flag bearer, I think Dr. Bawumia as a candidate already has done so much at that level. Kenneth Japong is obvious, you know, and I know, that in terms of MPP and the grassroots and his personal contribution at all levels of the party is not something that is hidden from all party members. If you ask anybody about NPP and Kenneth Japong's contribution, every member of the party, whether they like him or they can say, oh, I may not like him, but I think when it comes to the grassroots, when it comes to supporting the party, when issues pop up at the party in various constituencies across the country, he moves out there or send representatives out there to find out what are the issues, how he can help to address these issues. So it makes him really a candidate that the people at the grassroots, they can say something about, can easily say, we think this person cares about the party. Brian, as a person, has also done similar things, but not to the scale of Kenneth Japong. But for Dr. Adutwum, I have not read anywhere or seen any of these things. And if you talk to people who are like MPP people, they really, in terms of the local level and the grassroots, I've not had that feeling that he's endeared himself to them at that level. So for him to want to put himself up for presidential primaries in the NPP, I ask myself, has he done any study, even across board, to find out among the people who are likely to vote about whether if he comes up, he will want to be president, whether they will want to vote for him.
He should test his popularity within the party.
What work has he done at the grassroots, and based on what evidence is he saying that if I want to become president candidate for NPP, I think people will vote for me. I think Brian, even with, I said he has done some few things, he's been smart to say he set up a committee to explore, to go around the country and find out whether if indeed he wants to be the candidate for the party, what are the concerns of the people out there, what is the response of the people. Would the people really say that they want him to become the flag bearer of the party? So I think Brian chose a better option to go to the people and find out whether they will prefer him to become a candidate. And Dr. Adutwum had declared, but I will suggest to him that it would be good if he actually put together some study for the next 3 months, because the election itself is in January. So if he can do some work within the grassroots of the party to find out his likability, whether the people believe that in terms of what the grassroots stand for, they think that he has their interests at heart. They want to find out whether the people down there believe that he is somebody who cares a lot about the party. As Honorable Nantia said, if you go and be focusing on your performance in government, in a primaries within your party, you'll be missing the point. Because the considerations people will use to vote for is not about your performance when you were an appointee. They only want to know whether you have actually established relations with them, the local people. They want to know whether you are concerned about their situation. And the report they've done, one of the key issues is that they believe that for the past 8 years, the party and government have not really cared about the local people. And it's one of the reasons that they cited that many people stayed away from the polls. So in terms of an internal elections, there are dynamics really you need to consider. And as I said, if I look at Dr. Adutwum, I'm not talking about his performance in government. I'm talking about what is his constituency within the NPP at the local level. What is his constituency? Can they say if I go to the Ashanti region, which is the base of the party, maybe I can say I have influence about 30% of the people in the Ashanti region will want me to become
so it's more about how much currency he holds within the party.
And as I said, for Dr. Bawumia, because he's been 2 times vice president, he stood on the ticket with Nanado and all. He has been able to gather that currency. Kennedy Japon, with his support for the party and all that he's been involved in, and most of them made public. We all know that when we talk about currency within the NPP, Kennedy Japon has established a certain currency for himself. But as I said, when I look at Dr. Adutwum, take away his service public office. But if I look at him as a person and within the NPP as a, does he come up as somebody who has established that kind of currency? So as I said, but you cannot determine how people want to. Maybe people want him, but I don't have any empirical evidence about some of the things I've said. So as I would suggest to him, he should do that explorative study that Brian has chosen. Not necessarily because he set up a committee or anything, but he can also find his own way of testing the grounds, of testing the grounds across board.
Perhaps he feels the time is limited. The election is in 6 months. He would have to tour this entire country.
But you can't wake up one day and say you want to be president. It's a long, you see, when we see politicians succeeding, Honorable, they are here, they will tell you, they don't start overnight.
Years of work.
If you want to be MP, your first point is to start whether you can become an assemblyman. And test whether being an assemblyman in the area, whether you can win an assemblyman election. And then say, oh, if I can win an assemblyman election, it means that the possibility of, you want to test yourself within constituency, local elections. Whether you can even win to be a delegate in your party, whether you can win a position in the constituency, there were only constituency elections. You want to test yourself, hey, if I stand for secretary or this at the constituency level, will I be able to win? You go through a certain process for a long number of years. That's what I'm saying. If you look at Dr. Adutwum, within the local politics here in Ghana, he's been away for so many years. But thank God he came in, he put himself up for parliament and he won. But to say you want to become presidential candidate, the level of work that you need to do within the party, the level of work you need to do for the people down there who constitute the majority of those who are going to decide whether you should become a presidential candidate or not, is huge. And as I said, if I just scan through the space, media space and everything, I have really not seen that Dr. Adutwum has done so much work within the party nationally to put him in terms of against Kennedy Japan or Baumia and everything. And I've always said this, and I always say that the politicians should look at a lot of things. When previous prime minister was saying that Kennedy Japan was going to beat will have more votes than Alan. People were like, how can you say Ken is coming for the first time? Alan has been there. I said, no. If I look within the party, if I look at the currency within the party, I believe that Ken has more currency within the NPP than Alan. Not because Alan is not a good politician, but the kind of things that Ken has done that the grassroots can associate with, I have not seen Alan done that at the local level for people to associate with. And when the vote came, people were like, but how did you get to know that? I said, no, we should understand politics. I'm not a politician, but as a journalist, we read, we go around on elections time, we talk to these people. So we also gather some small information that enable us to understand some of the reasons and the psyche of local internal party politics.